Welcome, friends. We have a special guest in our Lokayat conversation today, Mr. Binu Mathew. He is the editor and editor-in-chief of the web portal countercurrents.org. Uh, if when we talk about the alternative media and the alternative media in India, these days a lot of people are claiming that they are alternative media, but I think Binu started some 18 years back this whole process, and Countercurrents has a very committed readers world over, and it has actually it doesn't have a very support of the so-called industries, which many of them are now trying to grab the alternative media spaces also. So welcome Binu in this program. My question to you is, how has been the journey of Countercurrents over this 18 years?
Yeah, it's been a you know uh, tough journey, tough journey. Uh, but it's also very interesting and uh, uh, very enjoyable journey also. Uh, Let me tell you the beginning of Countercurrent first.
Yes, yes,
How it
yeah,
all started.
yes.
Yeah, I was working as a journalist uh, in a local language lady in Kerala.
Mhm.
So as a journalist, the mundane routine things
Yes,
that I was doing, I was not, happy with it. I wanted to do something more, something good for the humanity.
yes.
That's why I wanted to do something for the betterment of humanity.
Mm.
So some of our friends started talking about what we can do. Maybe we can start we discussed about starting a Malayalam magazine, some kind of a magazine. But that was, very expensive.
Yes, okay.
So we couldn't get it off from the ideational level. So then this internet thing came along. That was in 2000, 2002. Internet was just starting in
Yes.
India.
Mhm.
So, so I was reading the internet and getting a lot of information. That was a, kind of a revelation for me. The kind of information that we get from across the world. It's kind of a we can, it was at those time I was a very big fan of Noam Chomsky.
Okay. Yes,
Noam Chomsky.
yes,
Yeah, but the books of Chomsky was very rare
yes.
to get and very expensive also. But we could read Chomsky online. There was a website called Internet, isn't it?
Okay.
It is still there, isn't it?
Mhm.
Chomsky used to write there very often, and
Okay.
we could read his articles and insights. That was a very revelation for me. And it's just a click of a mouse we can get in connect with Chomsky. And also, they used to uh, carry a lot of insightful articles from around the world. People from India, like Badri Raina was writing,
Yes.
Satyasagar was writing.
Mhm.
A lot of people from around the world were writing for Internet. So, and also many people from Palestine were writing, Kashmir were writing. So without any intermediaries, without any editorial interference, people were talking of their experiences, their aspirations through the internet. That was a big change. That was a
Okay.
huge change in the media industry. Media, I don't mean industry, the
Yes.
media space. In the
Yes.
media space, that was
Yeah.
a big change in media space. So that was a revelation for me. So I thought, why not? Why don't we start one of our own?
Okay.
Internet was my inspiration, and also let me say. in those times, I read a book
Mhm.
called "When Corporations Rule the World."
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, have you read it?
I heard about it. Yes, sir. Maybe
Yeah,
some.
it's a very inspiring book.
Hmm.
It tells how multinational companies.
Yes.
Uh, it's written by I don't remember this person's name right now,
Okay.
the writer author's name, but that was a very inspiring book. So I wanted to do something to then the globalization was
Yes.
destroying the world,
Yes.
and all the corporates were destroying the world. Uh, they were totally controlling the world. So when I wanted to do something much bigger than my usual editing jobs
Yeah. Yeah.
at the newspaper.
Yes.
So, so this internet was a big opportunity and a big avenue for me. So,
Yes.
so I thought, why don't we start one of our own?
Mm.
So that's how it all began. So the beginning, it was the biggest challenge because in those days computer was very expensive,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, the computer, I didn't have much money. My salary at those days was like 3,000 or
Oh, yeah.
3,500
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah. Journalists were not really paid at particularly the word current media.
Yeah. This is, especially the local
Yes.
newspapers were not that highly paid at those days.
Yes.
So had to take a bank loan. My friend helped me to get a bank loan. It was at those time a computer, a desktop computer.
Yeah.
I will tell you the configuration. It was
Uh-huh.
256 RAM and
Yeah.
20 GB hard disk and a monitor, and
Yes, I know.
it cost me 42,000 rupees.
Oh,
Uh,
and you took a
and
loan for it.
huh?
You took a
I took a
loan for it.
loan for it. I took a loan for it.
Oh,
And the interest rate was like 18%, 18% interest
oh,
rate. It was in 2002. That was at those times the interest rate was like 18%. So I must have paid some 65,000 rupees when I paid back for the computer.
okay.
Uh, then I didn't know anything about computer. I'm not a tech savvy person,
Yeah.
so I didn't know anything about computer or internet or web making, web page making, or anything. So I joined a course, simple HTML course,
Okay.
learn a 3-month HTML course, and I started studying doing some simple HTML coding.
Okay.
At the end of the uh, course, we launched CounterCurrent store on the web. That
Oh,
was in 2002, March 27.
yeah, 27 March 2002. How did the idea came? Like the head, that you should have this counter currents. Were there other names also that came into your mind?
Yeah, we did a brainstorming session. At those times, we were staying with some of our friends, bachelors. We were bachelors then.
Okay.
We were staying together in the rented house. We
Okay.
were 4 or 5 people. We uh, uh, sat together and had a brainstorming session, and we brainstormed a lot of names.
Okay.
So we wanted something catchy, but something you know that conveys the meaning of
Yeah.
our philosophy.
Yeah.
That is how I think it was Ajit Kumar B, my one of my friends.
Okay.
He suggested me this name, Countercurrent. It's just all through this. Something came from counter, then current, and
Yes.
then
It's
it
yeah.
all
It's
came together, and that's how they chose his name, the Countercurrent. And immediately we registered the domain,
mhm.
and after this we launched. The original, the first website, the first design was not this one, the kind of design that we see
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
If you go to the archive.org, you can see a very crude form of a design there. Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
then we decided to design it. My friend Rasi, he's a artist. He's a graduate from FTII, Film and Television Institute of India,
Okay.
and also the graduate from School of Designing Baroda,
Mhm.
Baroda School of
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So an artist, he designed this. Now, what you see on the masthead and all the
Yeah.
all designed by Rasi, and this color scheme was chosen by Rasi,
Okay.
and it was converted into HTML form by then again Ajit Kumar B converted Ajit Kumar, my friend. Both
Uh,
of them now big filmmakers now.
okay, good.
And Ajit Kumar is a national award winning,
Film.
multi-national award winning video editor and a film director also. They
Mhm.
are also good friends now. They are also helped now. Uh, that's how the designing part was. And the first article,
Yeah.
first, and also when we're discussing about this, and then the Gujarat riots happened.
Yes.
2002, Gujarat
Yeah.
riots happened.
Yeah.
Then we
February.
thought that this is the right time to launch this website.
Okay.
And the first article we published was on Gujarat riots.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh.
the Womb and the Sword by written. The title of the article was Womb and the Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Womb. Womb means the
Yeah,
woman.
yeah.
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 Womb and Sword.
Yes, yes.
It was written by Sarah Joseph, an eminent Malayalam writer.
Okay,
It
okay.
was translated. I translated into English and published it on CounterCurrent. That was the first article published on CounterCurrent. That's how
Okay.
the whole story
Good.
began.
Good, good, good. Slowly, like all people like who were talking about alternative, who are alternative voices in the human right movement, in the even nationalities movement, world over. How did when did they start writing for the countercurrents? Like it was it must be a very interesting journey. Like now, a lot of people now are. Want to contribute for the countercurrents at all.
Yeah, it was a slow journey. First, we didn't have much. Uh, we I wrote some. I used to write articles. My some of my friends, Kamal KM, my friend Kamal KM, he used to write articles. We together wrote articles, uh, and slowly we started building. And then we thought that this is not going to work. We should, there should be continuous update. There should be daily
Yes.
updates should be there.
Yeah.
There should be daily updates should be there. We thought that there should be
Yeah, it's
daily,
important. Yes. Yes.
yeah, daily should be something new. Then we uh, so started getting articles from internet, borrowing articles from internet.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, from the independent. Robert Fisk was writing. Then
Yeah.
the Iraq War came.
Yes.
Iraq War came.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a huge time, the Iraq War. Then there was multiple websites like Truth was there, Truth Out was there.
Yes.
Uh, then Fisk was writing very powerful articles on Iraq War,
Yeah.
and I used to borrow these articles, and regular updates were there.
Yeah.
That's how slowly began, and people came to know about countercurrents, and we started a daily newsletter,
Yes.
and daily we will send out, borrow some. We had uh, uh, first we added some. Uh, uh, my friend Gopal Menon sent me a list of, Gopal Menon, the
Yes.
documentary
Yes.
film
I know.
director.
I know Gopal Menon.
Yeah, Gopal sent me some email that is
Okay.
emails
Addresses.
of activists of around
Okay.
India,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and we created an email list
Uh-huh.
and started sending out news,
Newsletter.
that daily
News
updates
updates. Yeah.
to
News
this
updates.
list. That's how slowly it went. no, in those days, the word viral was not there.
Yes, yes,
Like we use in social media.
yes, 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 yes.
By slowly, number of people started growing in the newsletter, and the content also grew, and people came to know more about Countercurrent, and we welcome people to write articles for Countercurrent.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there was a submission policy there, people to submit articles for uh, articles. So slowly people started writing for Countercurrent from around the world. I think about it about 1 year. In 1 year, we were getting at least 3 or 4 articles every day from around the world.
Yeah.
That's how it grew as a platform for writers from around the world.
Yeah, that's actually very good because whenever we talk about the alternative media, we find like either they sometimes they convert into the mouthpieces of the organizations, like many of the small media wherever we see, they become like very choosy about selecting articles. But in terms of countercurrents, we found that you have a wider perspective, like from Palestine to Cuba to Africa to India, the Dalit question, even the critique of Marxism. So nobody can blame you that you are a Marxist. You may be, but you have given space to even the writing on caste and of all these kind of like human rights. So was it from the beginning you had decided that you will provide the platform to all the voices which are fighting for their rights or human rights, or was it like you need to have this kind of a left tilt, or some people, as many magazines say, that if you critique a little bit of their ideological thing, that they won't publish you. So was there any clear no, categorical thing in your mind when editorial policy, in terms of editorial policy?
Actually, if you talk about editorial policy, one of the other aspect about starting Countercurrents is for me to grow, for me to understand,
Yes.
for as an editor, as a
Yeah.
journalist,
Yes.
for me to grow and grow, understand. That's why I have started exploring all these things. The Dalit
Issue.
question,
Yeah.
human rights question, climate change question, human rights question. All these questions came to me.
Mhm.
So my self-seeking, it was a kind of a self-seeking journey. So I welcome all kinds of subjects come to Countercurrents. So it was a learning experience for me as well as I thought if you can if you can give me knowledge, it can give knowledge to people who come to read Countercurrents also. That is how the editorial policy of Countercurrents evolved.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, it was really good because then it provides space to all, and it gives like freedom to people when we respect right to dissent or right to freedom of expression. Many times the media houses become very choosy about these things, and you don't write like this. Please change this sentence. Please, we have seen the mainstream media, and we have seen also many of these so-called alternative media, because they don't take it seriously. They don't like it if you critique their
Yeah,
official.
let me say one
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Countercurrents is not as as you call a traditional news website.
Yes.
It's a people's journal. It's actually a people's journal. It's giving people's voice. That is the purpose of Countercurrent. It's not for me to decide what Vidya Bhushan Rawat should write,
Yeah.
what say John Scale Saveri should write, what Andre Blachek should
Yes.
write. All this is not my position, you know. But it's the people's, youngsters from colleges. They come up with new ideas, new experiences. it's giving space to their voices, not
Yes.
to curtail their voices. That is not the policy of the countercurrent.
No, I
So
think
it's a voice. It's a people's journal. It's a people's journal. It's the people's voice that is being heard through countercurrent.
yeah, I
That's the
think
whole purpose of
it's a
countercurrent.
very good example of how an editor doesn't force his views on people in the name of alternative views, because as I said, many there are many journals who are coming up in the name of alternative voices, but they don't like to if somebody critique their own alternative voices. So dissenting within dissent is not accepted. In fact, people become very sentimental on touching certain, ideologies, icons, and they cling to it like, as if
Yeah.
if we critique them, they become very, they think we have gone to a wrong camp or maybe the opposition camp. So this is a very disturbing thing. But the good thing is that about countercurrents, it is actually a model for many. I would say that.
Yeah, countercurrents also thinks about having a eclectic content. Not just limiting itself to one particular point of view, one
Yes.
particular ideology, or one particular subject, but have a wider perspective.
Yeah.
Our worldview should expand. You know, like climate change to environmental issues to human rights issues to Kashmir, Palestine, and the wars in with the West Asia. Everything is connected actually. We
Yes.
published a book. It was named "Connecting the Dots."
Yeah.
That is the whole purpose of countercurrents. It's a
Yes.
connecting the dots.
Yeah.
There are
Because
so many issues.
yeah, they are all linked actually, as you are
They are
saying.
all linked, interlinked. They are all interlinked.
Like when we are in the COVID world, we know that the climate change is a very important, very unless we deal these issues now seriously, we are going to be in trouble in the coming
Yeah,
days.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I'm happy that you have picked up the issue of counter this climate change also, because it's
Let me tell you a very personal experience about climate change for me as
okay.
an editor.
Okay.
I came to know to the understanding of climate change in 2003 or 2004. So I started publishing a lot of articles on climate change. At those times, there are many ways. Uh, you convince people about some one issue.
Yes.
One way is to scare people.
Yes.
Yes, this scares, the dangerousness, the danger of the issue.
Yeah.
Uh, so I thought that climate change is a grave issue that is going to destroy all world, whole humanity, all ecosystems. So I thought that I would, scare people with scary headlines. At those times, everybody was doing so, not just me.
Yes.
Everybody was trying to scare people about the issue of climate change. Now we have come with a more balanced view of climate change.
Yeah.
It's like alternative visions, alternative plans. But at those times, you know the the kind of pioneers who were in the media were trying to scare people.
Yeah.
Scary headlines. We are going to in 2100. The whole of Arctic is going to melt,
Yeah.
and we are going to be in trouble. The methane bubbles will come up, uh, uh, and the whole
Maldives
uh,
will disappear.
yeah, the whole life would be in danger. So I thought I've been publishing all those kind of articles again and again, and it started affecting me personally.
Ah.
It started me affecting me personally,
Okay.
and I went into a deep depression.
Oh.
I went into a deep depression. I couldn't update countercurrents for several weeks. I even shut down CounterCurrent. I
Yeah, yeah,
couldn't work.
yeah.
I couldn't work. I simply couldn't work. So I just lie down on the bed uh, and start thinking, and I couldn't work. I stopped working, and then I it was I couldn't at those times I couldn't find uh, psychiatrist, and
Okay.
then I went to meet a quack, and he gave me some very strong medicines, and I was sedated and all, and it
Oh,
didn't cure me. And it just lasts for 6 to 7 months until I found a real psychiatrist, and then I started getting better, proper medication, and started getting better. And he advised me to start taking a balanced view of life.
yeah.
So it helped me. So uh, I would say I'm still on medication. I'm
Okay.
still on medication. I cannot get out of this medication thing. So it's a kind of a situation that I'm going through. It's a I'm not I don't regret doing these things, but it is part of the job. It's
Yes.
a collateral damage that you have to
Yeah.
face, or the
Yeah.
wear and tear you have to face. Uh,
Absolutely. Actually, many time I say this thing, and I am sharing this experience of yours because I'm very sensitive person, very very sensitive, and sometimes I have to ignore certain things deliberately because when you write something, we are in the human right world. We
yeah,
write on caste violence and COVID and this happening, and daily you are getting the news of depressive news
yeah,
every
yeah,
day.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is where I decided that I will do a little bit of not focus too much on that because every time you are getting the news of death and pain and all these things, and sometimes it actually affects you, sir. So
Actually,
now it is
actually,
also
let me
important.
say,
Yeah.
let me say, as a countercurrents editor, 90% of news I'm getting is depressing.
Yes.
There will be someone is killed, honor killing, human rights violation.
Absolutely.
Some places,
All these
the
migrant
ecosystem
workers.
is,
Yes.
migrant workers are
Yes.
suffering.
Yeah.
All this kind of depressing news. 90% of news that is coming through countercurrents is very depressing,
Yeah.
unless you take a balanced view.
Yeah, no, it's very important because sometimes what happens is that I'm not saying that we should not, but what happens it affects the person who is communicating, who is actually like it's also important for people like you and others for us to remain safe and remain in good health so that you communicate that view and provide the platform and that is the tragedy actually most of the places we see that people who are working honestly and dedicatedly they those who are sensitive become the biggest victim of it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's true.
So good. Actually, I think countercurrent maybe can start something. Some of these stories invite some positive action oriented stories. It will be good, and we would love to do that kind of thing. It's really important because most of the time when we work on these right based things, we are all the time do things which affects us actually our
Yeah,
health.
personally, affects us personally. Yeah, true.
So it's also important to provide a space for some positive, constructive work.
Yeah, we have started after this. After I went through this mental breakdown,
Mhm.
I started a section called Counter Solution.
Okay, okay,
Counter Solution.
okay, okay.
So
That
where people can write, the positive stories about, how we can tackle counter climate change, environmental issues,
yeah,
human
some good
rights.
work, some good action work. It will be good actually. That's the very important thing that you're doing because it's important. I felt it personally because I started doing some very positive work because once I get really depressed into these things, and then I started working with children actually because I
Yeah,
felt that this is the positive work, and the positive work give you a lot of strength. I could not have written actually so much if I'm not working with the communities, and I
yeah,
felt real strength in going to the community, in the
yeah,
village, sitting with the people, sharing their happiness, joy, sorrows, everything. and that in turn gave me a lot of strength to do these things. Otherwise, I would have been real trouble
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
in real.
It's the same situation for most of the people like us working in human rights, climate change, environmental rights issue, media.
Yes,
People. There are people who are working for salary in the media, but
yes.
for people who work, person who are really committed in their work, it affects them personally.
Yeah,
So
there are a huge number of people who don't have salaries and doing things like people like us who don't have a fixed income of doing,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
they are committed and they're sensitive, helping others also. So it's the thing. I want to ask you a question. I'm very happy that you know the about the readership of the reach of the countercurrent. Like you mentioned, it has reached about what is claimed 6 million hits. So, can you share what is the how much are the viewers? What is the profile of the viewers and countries and number of viewers visiting Countercurrents?
Yeah, it's like it's like you know, um, actually the like hits is not a count uh, 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 um, of the website right now. It was the earlier term to count the number of hits that we get on the site. Now we measure by number of visitors who visit the site
Regular.
on a regular basis. Now we get like 30,000 unique visitors a day for
Oh,
the website.
30,000
That
a day.
30,000 a day.
Oh,
That converts into like a 1 million unique visitors a month, and um, uh, 3 million page views, or like 3 million page views a month.
okay. That's very good. Actually.
No, so actually, this is not huge, but uh, but for a we don't carry any sensational news.
It's basically thought.
It's just a basically thought
Yeah.
for such a website to get uh, this kind of a number of visitors and the number of page views is really heartening.
Yes.
So for a clickbait website, they may get large number of visitors and page views.
Yes.
But ours is not that kind of a website, but it's a bit thought-provoking, analysis-based, opinion-based, human rights, and all these hard issues that people don't want to hear.
Yes.
That's the kind of issues that we are taking up. If such a website get this much uh, uh, visitors, it's a really heartening thing. That's why I am happy. The profile, mostly it's from India. Most of the people visiting the website are from India. Like 70% are from India. 20% are from USA, and then some uh, so 5 or 7% are from Europe, and then the rest from Australia and other parts of the. And we have a number of readers from Pakistan and Bangladesh also. We have a good number of readers,
Okay.
uh, and also some Middle East also. We have some good number of readership. That is a general profile of the reach of the website. We don't
Yeah.
have, South Africa. We have some readers. Uh, but other parts of Africa, we don't have much readers. But Sri Lanka is Sri Lankan. We cover the Sri Lankan Tamil
Yeah.
issue.
Yes.
So the Tamil diaspora is very much interested uh, in the issues that we cover. They are also they, they are also visiting the website regularly.
Okay. Okay. So good. It's really Heartwarming. Now, what are the challenges if we look at countercurrents, good viewership, everything? Then maybe in like when you started, I'm sure there are a lot of financial troubles for you also because you were doing things. So how are are things okay now, or is it still a lot of distress in terms of finances and managing things?
Yeah, actually, what we do is that we in December we make a call for fundraising. We make a fundraising drive. So we make a call, and it's a uh, it's a it's a it's a subscription based program.
Okay.
Like people ask people to contribute 1,000 rupees for countercurrent visiting, for viewing the countercurrent for 1,000 rupees, and also people come forward, and there are some people who contribute a lot much more than that. Uh, that's also helps.
Yeah.
Uh, it's according to their capabilities. You know,
Yeah.
you know, some people can 1,000, some people can 5,000, some people 10,000. No, that's it. So we try to meet the target most often. So financially, uh, not much trouble, but uh, but it is always stressful to raise this amount. I don't know how many people will contribute next year.
Yeah.
Uh, how many people will come back?
Yeah, there is an uncertainty.
There is also always an uncertainty. It's always stressful. This fundraising is very. I can do any work,
Yeah.
countercurrent, but this this fundraising is a very stressful work. I
Yes, I
don't know
understand that.
how many people will come, how many mailing them, calling them up, texting them, and it's kind of a very stressful work to raise funds. No, but I've decided that I won't go for any, these kinds of, you know,
Institutional funding.
institutional funding. So, if countercurrents cannot raise funds, it will close down. Natural. So I will do some other work. You know.
As you said, is there you do you feel that if it is an institutional funding, it will lose its editorial independence?
Yeah, I hope. I think so. You know, I have seen many websites in Malayalam. I don't know. I cannot come out. After getting their institutional funds, they change their tag completely. They become very traditional. The kind of website that used to be very bold and aggressive,
Mm.
they become to be very mild, soft. Uh, the kind of so-called journalism. They start being a so-called journalist.
Yes.
So there, the punch is gone. That is what happens with the institutional funding.
Yeah.
If
They are under the pressure and lot of
there's no punch or vibe in it, what is the purpose of doing a job? What is the
yeah. One of
purpose
the
of doing it?
dangers that I always felt is when you build up an institution, then some people we love to calling that we need institution, but sometimes when we build up the institution, we have to protect them and then we forget doing the real work because then the compromises start, a lot of things, adjustments, and the money fund to maintain that institution rather than the public. So this is the reality with most of these hugely built institutions who depend a lot on the government's goodwill,
Yeah, yeah,
and whether the income tax cases, the housing things, whether the business in their backyard. So they have to protect all the things to maintain their staff and business, and in that they really then they have to compromise with the people's issues. So
yeah.
probably because countercurrent doesn't have, I suppose, the huge institutional building to protect. So that's why it's able to do things.
Yeah, 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 yeah. True.
Because I've seen many of the institutions which are very big, and then they start compromising things
Yeah,
to
yeah,
protect
yeah.
their institutions.
As you grow big, you have to protect a lot of things. You have to cover up a lot of things.
Yes.
So I don't want to. That's why countercurrents doesn't want to grow. It doesn't want to grow. It wants to stay as it is.
No, that's good. But do you have a have you a plan? Like, many people say like this is it may not want to build a so-called institution, but it is running. So, is there any plan like how it continues even after you? I'm saying this not because we need to think about what after us.
That's true. That's true. I have thought about it so many times, but I must find a successor. I must find a
Not
successor.
right now, but yes.
Not
Uh,
right now, but
because
I
I
don't
am
have
a
a successor right now.
I
But
saw, some of the things, I grew up in this all the time alternative thing. And started, contributing for the alternative in 1993, 4. Some Hindi journals, like some Kalin Tisri Dunya. This was Mr. Anand Swarup Verma. He's a very excellent editor. But it is, the name is very good. It was like called the Third Word Journal.
yeah,
Very progressive. It was like about caste, about Dalit issues, about refugees, all issues they were covering, particularly South Asia, Nepal, Bhutan, monarchy, all those kind of things. But unfortunately, like all now, it is almost stuck. Then there was this Dalit voice,
yeah,
V.T.
yeah, yeah,
Rajasekhar started.
yeah.
And I asked this question, what after you? And he said, I don't care now. He's old, the magazine is closed. And why I'm saying this, because Dalit voice became a very, whatever it was, like it became an international name.
Yeah.
Similarly, I say countercurrent. It's like people know it now. It's well known. It's a brand in itself. Not I'm not talking in the terms of all the branding which these days are done, but it is a credible voice, and that is where I say that how you plan that this continue even after you or after us or
Vidya, nothing is permanent.
yes,
Actually,
yes.
nothing is permanent. At some time it may lose its relevance. It may go on its own. We cannot plan for everything. But I hope so. I have shared my password with some of my friends.
Okay.
So,
That
so
password is important.
the password is important now. I have shared my password with some of my friends. So if I pass away tonight, they can continue running it. Someone would come forward, and it's already there. You can if I'm pa- if I die today, you can contact my friends and get the password,
No.
and whoever,
Oh,
maybe you or someone else can come forward and run the website. It's free for everyone,
this is a
anyone,
movement.
anybody.
I call it as a movement. Actually, this is an intellectual movement, and the intellectual movement continues. The
Yeah.
process continues. So definitely, no one can be like Binu. So once I was actually interviewing legendary Ambedkarite L.R. Bali. He started Bhim Patrika in Punjab in 1956 when Dr. Ambedkar passed away, and he left his government job that time. He promised Dr. Ambedkar that I want to leave the job, and I'm now. He started a magazine, a journal, and it started in Urdu and then Punjabi and Hindi and English.
Mm.
And once I asked this question to him when I was interviewing, and I said, "What about what after you?" And he says, "I have made a trust, and but he made me one point. He says, nobody can be Bali. Somebody can be better than me or worse than me, but cannot replace me that way." I like that that statement. He says, Bali will remain Bali. So definitely, that is your right now. It has your blueprint and
Yeah,
your impressions, your thought that reflect, and that has taken it far wide. So that's we can't deny those factors. That
yeah,
individual affect a lot.
yeah, 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 yeah.
What about like now we talk about the media condition, the you have seen from say from year 2000, so it's already 20 years, and you worked also in the media. How do you look at what is happening? Is the media becoming the biggest threat to in the current time to democracy in India?
We can say yes and no.
Okay.
You know, some of the media houses that are playing that they are doing like the 9 o'clock, shouting games,
Mhm.
all these games and their editorial policies. After uh, 2016, no, 2016, 2014, after this regime change, you know, there was a huge pressure on media houses to change their tag. They have to follow the policies of the government. Otherwise, the editors would be kicked out. Otherwise the editorial, the government advertisement will be pulled out. So they are forced to change their editorial policy. So many of them have changed their editorial policy also. Uh, but and also many of them have become lapdogs of the government also.
Yeah.
And
Most of
many of
them.
them, huh?
Most of them.
Most of them, and they have become, they cannot be called journalists, but they are actually uh, instigators of lynch mob. They are like instigators of lynch mob. They
Yeah.
are not journalists, they are just criminals, you know
Yeah, I call them public relation officer of the ruling party.
they more than that, they
Yeah.
instigate crimes. They
Yeah.
instigate crimes around the country. They should
Yeah.
be booked and put behind bars.
Yes. 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 Yeah.
And that's why. But there are also honest journalists who do decent work in the print, especially in the print media.
Yeah. Print
So
it is
dig
still
up,
print seems to be still working better, particularly if we compare the English language media is still better in certain terms.
yeah, in English language and the Malayalam language media, the regional language media also, its print is also always working. So
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah. Probably.
They,
Probably.
they dig up issues, they follow up issues,
Yes.
and you know, mainstream media journalism. I never liked mainstream journalism.
Yeah.
It's a complete wastage of energy for a man like me. That's why I have left it. But there are good journalists who do their,
Yeah. They are there. Yeah.
yeah, they do their beats and they cover their beats and uh, do good job, cover, following up, investigating and bringing out issues, people's issues. There are still good journalists out there. So we cannot brand all journalists as,
Yeah. There are good people, but institutionally they have weakened.
yeah, institutionally, journalism has become, media has become very weak and these days. They've become, actually, I would say it has become toothless. The
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
journalism has become toothless.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a entertainment for the masses. It's a journalism. It's a mainly sort of entertainment, soft entertainment for the masses.
Yeah. 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 That's true. It's the
But
9 o'clock.
there are also, in the meantime, there are also some stories. If you cover 24 pages of a newspaper, there may be one or two stories that are good.
Yeah.
You know, uh, for me, reading a newspaper only takes 5 minutes. Just flip the pages and you see one good story, you read it, and close down the newspaper. That's the time I need for to reading a newspaper. You know, that is a kind of a journalism that is big. It's kind of a soft kind of a entertainment for the masses. It's a they call it now infotainment. They
Yes.
call it infotainment, information and entertainment.
Yes.
That is what media has become right nowadays. Now, as about the shouting dogs, no, they are lynch mobs. They are criminals. They are not journalists.
Yes.
There are two different categories. There are people who are instigating people to do crimes, and there are people who do infotainment.
Yeah.
These are the two people. And there are, in the meantime, there are many good journalists who are doing really good jobs. Like I don't want to name anyone, but there are very good people.
Yeah, there are good people because most of them are suffocated. Most of them don't get good bites. Sorry, good space.
Yeah,
If they are senior, then they get some spaces, obviously. But if they are at the middle level, their stories are, relegated to one column stories,
yeah,
or
yeah,
they don't get much space. So that
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah,
also
yeah,
reality because those who are like managing the editorial, so
yeah,
there
yeah,
is
yeah,
no editor. They are managing editors now.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So they
yeah, yeah, yeah,
manage they manage stories.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that's see what happens that in Kerala you have a good tradition, the secular tradition. There are diverse communities. So that social movements, the left tradition also, a lot of balancing between different communities. So Kerala is in a different mode actually. So that
yeah,
impacts the media house, the
yeah,
media, the
yeah,
vernacular media. If we see the vernacular media in other parts of India, that's horrible, I would say.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And they absolute stories are created, and the major stories will, if some Baba is going to preach some Ramayana or some Bhajan Mandali and or some superstition, and these days the main stories are actually the government press releases.
mm,
Most of these come that government is doing this, government is doing this, 20 lakh crore, 30 lakh crore. India has now China is withdrawing. This is being done. So most of these vernacular journals or magazines are actually the rights stories on the government press releases
yeah, yeah,
basically, and others are like there are mischievous people also there who can whose mischief comes out during the so-called communal rights, which rights are
yeah, yeah,
ending.
yeah. Yeah, we saw that during the Gujarat riots,
Delhi now.
Delhi riots. These vernacular media played a big role in instigating the mob,
Yes,
and
yes. And every time, so what happened is that there was a time when if there is a police investigation or police is investigating a case, the media will take a bold view on it. So media will look what is happening, who is police implicating, whether it is right or wrong. But today, what is happening is that media, mostly the television channels at 9 p.m. What you say, this all this monostream show. I call it monostream media, not the
mm,
mainstream, but the monostream media. And so that monostream media, has a link. So the policeman will file a case, charge sheet, and you know who are charge sheeted these days, and then they start writing. There is conspiracy, the Chinese conspiracy or the Pakistani conspiracy or the foreign conspiracy and trying to divide India. All these kind of a heading they make. So they don't question the police, but strengthen the police investigation with their further, rumor mongering and they are lynching. They are sitting at their
yeah, yeah,
TV studios. Actually, they are lynching with their words, and which is much
yeah, yeah,
more
yeah,
dangerous
yeah, yeah,
even
yeah,
than the
yeah,
physical lynching, I would say,
yeah,
because
yeah,
you kill a person, you force a person to commit actually suicide.
yeah, 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 yeah.
This is a very, very
Yeah, it has
dangerous.
happened. It has actually happened. It has actually happened.
Yeah. These things are pressing people because it's not the fear of anything, but now when media jump in and they started, having this trials at their court,
Media trials. Media
media
trials.
trials, and this is the one-way trial. It's actually the monostream trials. Absolutely, they look for one person, a scapegoat, who they can lynch every 9 p.m. So this is very planned way, and it's very disturbing. And
Yeah.
the media watchdogs doesn't exist in India, because
Yeah,
if
yeah,
there
yeah.
was a
It's
real
not.
media,
It's no longer the fourth pillar of the state. It's
yes,
no longer the fourth pillar of the state. It's a lapdog of the state.
yeah,
Media is.
and there is no controlling of it. And if there was a real autonomous media watchdog, many media houses would have actually had to
Closed down.
surrender their licenses,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because they don't deserve to be called media houses.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So that's it's not the job of media to force a person to speak something and ask why are you not talking to me? If I don't, it's my right to speak to them or not to speak to them. But then they will go and they will instigate and they will then start saying, "Oh, I wanted an interview, he didn't give me, and then he pushed me," and they make this. And everybody knows these things very well, how these things have been. And but this is very grave actually, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How do you view the so-called alternative media these days emerging as a counter to the mainstream media? The web portals, I'm not going to name them, but they are all big journalists starting their own channels and own web portals.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's a kind of a profession actually.
Yeah,
It's you cannot call it a alternative media or anything. It's a kind
yeah,
of a profession. It's kind of a uh, Countercurrents is not, as I said, it's a people's journal. It's not a journal. You cannot call it as such as a journalism. It's a kind of an activist journalism that
yes,
Countercurrents is doing. But none of these new media channels coming up is not kind of that kind of a activist journalism. I cannot say, but actually, it's a kind of a professional, you know, kind of a thing. So, what do you mean by professional journalism? What do you mean? Is that what you do is that you please everyone. You please everyone. You
yes,
please the BJP. You please
yes,
the Congress.
yeah,
You please the left. You please everyone. You know that is what is happening with the kind of new media houses that is coming up. That is called. I don't call it alternative journals, journals or alternative websites or anything like that. They're liberal professional websites, but they want to please everybody. They want to please their masters who are financing them, the
yeah.
political
Actually,
masters, everybody.
one thing is there which I found the difference between them and the so-called main is they all are like same. They one may be calling himself a secular and other is not a secular. But the problem in India is that almost all of these mainstream alternative are economic right wing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's true.
They may be
Economic
secular
right.
versus BJP versus Congress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But in terms of economic policies, most of them are on the same line.
Most of them, no, don't call it everyone, everyone.
Almost everyone, because they get the funding from the private corporation.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. Their economic policy is same. They're there for globalization,
Yes.
liberalization,
Yeah.
LPG privatization.
Yes.
They all of them are for these things.
Yes.
They don't stand for social equity, social
Yes.
justice.
Yeah.
You know, they're on the peripheral. They are standing for this. To please the middle classes,
Yes.
but at the core of their philosophy, they are for the liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Um, and uh, therefore, economic plunder of India.
Yes.
Therefore, the economic plunder of India by the governing forces.
Yes. Yes. That's true. Actually, that's why I say the major difference doesn't exist. The major difference is there's a power struggle between them.
Yeah.
And sometime, this so-called secular were in power when the Congress was in the rule. So they would get the better treatment. Now, when the BJP came to power, they want a better treatment for their own journalists. So
Yeah.
this is the basic difference. And otherwise, and they are now talking about constitution and Ambedkar and all these things. But this is a strategy, not beyond that.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, and is the fact that most of them follow the same economic agenda,
Yeah.
the right-wing economic agenda.
Yeah.
So what is now you are at the like 18 years and a good viewership, a credible face. What are you looking at after immediate? What is the agenda for the countercurrents for the future, for the near future?
Uh, we don't set an agenda actually, you know. uh, as I said, it's a people's journal. People determines the agenda of the countercurrent. Once people stop writing, once Vidyabhushan Rawat stop writing for countercurrent, it's dead. That is the thing.
So it's the
So,
people's.
as much as people start coming forward to write for countercurrents would thrive. As people like you, Kanjailaya, Ram Puniani, all these people stop writing, countercurrents is dead. You know, that is the immediate agenda of the countercurrents to
Yeah,
keep the spirit going, to empower people, to inspire people, to inspire young people to write. You know, uh, lots of young people are coming, research scholars from different universities around the country, teachers, professionals, all are coming forward to write for countercurrent. That's also it's a positive thing.
yeah,
So, as I said, we don't want to expand beyond a stage. Uh, as you mentioned, expansion and maintaining the institution itself is a big big
okay.
burden for us. So we don't want to expand. We want to keep moving, to keep giving people their voice. That is what I want to do. That's what the immediate plan for countercurrent.
You had started this manifesto for the nation.
Yeah,
What was the
yeah. I
idea?
thought I thought I would mention that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is a one thing that we are planning to do. We are in the drafting stage of the manifesto for the people, and a lot of people who have come forward. Kanjayale has written one piece,
yes,
and many people have written articles for the manifesto for future India. You
mm,
know, this is a very crucial time. COVID.
yes,
COVID has devastated the country completely.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
economically, socially, culturally, in every aspect, the completely destroyed. Now, what is happening is that shock doctrine. The Naomi Klein wrote this famous book called Shock Doctrine.
I've read that book. Yes,
Yeah, shock doctrine. This is a complete shock now. What is going to happen is that what is actually happening is that labor laws are being scuttled,
yes,
and the environmental laws are being scuttled.
yeah,
That is the human rights and surveillance. Everything is coming up now after the COVID-19 thing. So what we activists have been doing all these years have been doing is that resisting. We are resisting. Um, we are always resisting what government is doing. When the Congress was on power, when BJP is in power, we are resisting. We are always on the resistance. We are always the resistance. Now it's a time for counterattack.
yes.
Counterattack with the positive energy, with a positive plan, concrete plan.
An
That is,
alternative vision,
huh?
an alternative vision document.
An alternative vision document. We counterattack the government. We need. These are the things that the people want.
Yes,
So we are putting forward a manifesto, drawing ideas from people around the world, from citizens around the country, new ideas, and we put forward a new vision document to the government. That is the vision that the government of the people want. That is one thing that is going on. That's one campaign that is being run by CounterCurrents right now.
Yeah.
So we are planning to release that vision document, this manifesto, by August 15th.
So August 15. Okay. So this
Yeah,
has still some time.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's a very good approach, and I think it's important for everyone. Like most of the people who have been in the movement have habitual of movement and movement and movement, but the movement need an alternative vision also.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
can't be in
yeah,
the street all the time, and then it is bad, this is bad, that is bad. We need to give what is good. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
sometimes I've seen the people are very good at critiquing the things,
yeah,
but they
yeah,
are unable to provide an alternative. And word over, no movement succeeded if it doesn't give an alternative. That is my
yeah,
understanding.
yeah, 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 that's true.
Dr. Ambedkar succeeded some extent because he gave a lot of vision and alternative vision, all those policies in his writing. There were a lot of people word over. But if we just go on that this is bad, this is bad, this is not good. So what is good has to be also provided.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if we don't give an alternative vision, then there is no point of saying things. That. So this is important that a document should come. What is our idea of an India or a world or global thing? What? So the vision is for India or is globally?
no, it's for India.
It's
So the
for India.
post-COVID India. Yeah,
Okay, post-COVID India. Okay,
yeah.
okay. So that's a good thing. Now, uh, post-COVID or pre-COVID, we had a lot of issues, troubles for people like you who are writing independently, and that's why many of the people have suddenly disappeared because they can't face this state oppression, the police knocking at the door, asking questions. Uh, and you have like it's 18 years, so you have written so much, published so much of work. All of us have been writing and quite strongly. Have you faced any threat or challenges, police, administration, individuals so far? Or if yes, then what has happened?
Yeah, not much actually. But one thing, after the Babri Masjid verdict came, I wrote an article in CounterCurrent.
Yes.
Then I got a memo from Mumbai police to take it down. Uh, Take it down.
Mhm.
But I didn't uh, comfort to them. So
Okay.
I stayed with them. I didn't reply to them also. That
Okay.
is the only,
They didn't call back again. That you didn't reply. Where are you?
no, no, no. I didn't reply anything. No.
Okay.
That
Okay.
is the only thing.
Okay.
It's against communal harmony and so something like that.
Okay.
That's the only challenge I faced so far from the authority.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's a fight going so far.
Okay. 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 So good that there are not many thing, but because I don't think there should be any because countercurrents work is so positive also, and it's a platform for people to express their views. So it's good. So final words. What would you like to speak to young, new, budding activists, journalists, writers, or those who believe in the alternative visions? What are you going to say about countercurrents and to them about future of journalism, media, alternative vision?
Yeah, what I want to say is that in reply to a question you asked earlier,
Mhm.
what happens after Binu Mathew? Thousands of Binu Matthews should come up.
Yes. So,
Youngsters, they should start their own website. You know, they should start their own website. They should start another countercurrent.
mhm.
You know, another countercurrent. Another. Whatever. another website, another platform, whatever, to express their views, to their friends' views, so for to expressing alternative vision, to finding solutions to the problems the world is facing, to express solidarity to people who are struggling. So, write for countercurrents, that's always welcome. But start your own website. So Binu Mathew is gone. One day Binu Mathew will go. That doesn't make any difference to the society that we are living. There should be thousands of Binu Matthews from around the country, around the world. That is the final word for me.
So good. Has ever this idea came in your mind that there should be a space for the vernacular people in countercurrents?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. I used to when I earlier I used to have a small Malayalam version, a blog. I used to translate some articles into Malayalam and publish it as part of CounterCurrent. But after time, I didn't have time, so I stopped doing so. Um, but no, I know only Malayalam and English.
Okay.
It's very important these days to have fact check what you
Yeah.
publish on CounterCurrent platform. It's a big issue.
Yes.
So I've discussed this issue with this idea with several people for having a platform for platform of countercurrents in vernacular languages. But my idea is that somebody should take responsibility of the content they are publishing on the website or putting on the platform.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone should translate or call their own articles, and we can link it with countercurrent. We
I
can
think,
link it with countercurrent.
yeah, I think it's important because at least the wider audience, the vernacular audience should also know something about what is happening because there are so much of articles coming up. I hope the youngsters who are like in different states can translate at least some of the articles, if not all, and put them
Yeah,
on the site linked with countercurrents. So it
yeah.
will be
They should start a website. We can give them all the technical support, financial support for doing this. They can contact us, uh, and they should take responsibility for what they are putting up on the website. That's the only thing. That
yes,
they should translate. They can translate, or they can publish their own articles, or invite submissions from other friends, other writers in vernacular languages, and we will link it with countercurrents. In the countercurrents homepage, we will link it with countercurrents. So it, it won't be countercurrents, but a partner site of countercurrents.
yes. Obviously, it has to be that way. It
Yeah.
has to be a conglomerate of different groups,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
affiliate, like
yeah, yeah,
different sites working in different areas, and then come there with their identity and not
yeah, yeah,
merging with their identity, but having their identity and even confederating with each other.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So thank you very much, Binu. We hope that you continue to lead and provide space to all the friends and let's countercurrent bloom and give hope to millions of readers world over because it is a very informative space where we all join hand to make our future better. So thank you very much and wish you good health and wish countercurrent also good health. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Vidya Bhushan.
Yeah.